Serving up a warm dish of the Triad's culinary fare, here's your weekly helping of food, news, and views. This is the man who ate the town.
Hey folks, and welcome to episode 219 of the Man Who Ate the Town podcast. This is for the week of October 25th through Halloween 2021. My name is Tim Beeman.
And I'm Michael Hastings.
And we're opening the recipe trunk. Boom. Recording this episode of the Man Who Ate the Town in the Les Desirable Studios in the lab at Industry Hill. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcatchers like Apple Podcast, Stitcher, or Spotify, or anything like that, we'd appreciate a like, a follow, and a rating. It would help us tremendously. And if you're listening to us on the Triad Podcast Network, welcome and thank you. This episode of The Man Who Ate the Town is brought to you by Mojito Latin Soul Food, your go-to Cuban and Latin-inspired restaurant. Michael Millán gave me an update on Zeke. He's healthy and back in the kitchen, so that's good. Mojito is running weekly food specials and mojito drink specials all during the week when they're open. They do reservations and such too, but they are now because of the lack of people to that staffing issues, I guess is what they want to say.
The great staff shortage.
Yes, they had to close Thursday and Friday lunch service due to the lack of help. You can still get stuff to go according to their Facebook page. They need bartenders and servers, is what Michael told me. So,
and it's good that they do take reservations because I hear they have been packed lately.
Oh yeah, they were especially packed on Saturday because I'll get to. We went to Finnegan's, but
you tried to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We went and we had a beer or three, one beer and an Ardbeg for me, Scotch, but we'll talk more about that in just a minute. But as usual, everyone's getting has a job for you if you need one. Zito Pizzeria announced that they were closing today through Wednesday for a much-needed respite, or as they say in Britain, which I think is the better way of saying it, respite. They have only a very small staff there at Zito Pizzeria, and they're putting everything they have into this. So they need a break, and I am so glad that Victoria is taking that break.
Like so many others, they are, walking that fine line on the edge of burnout with a lot of these employees. And so, sometimes it just makes sense. Close the doors for a couple of days, give everybody a day off, a break, let them get some sleep, do something else besides work.
Hang out with a significant other, hang out with kids, hang out in a park. When you're working all that, you get no time. Self-care is very important. Mental health days and self-care is very important.
Yeah, and that's kind of, the unsilver lining of all this staff shortage is that all restaurants are the staff that they do have, they are working as many hours as the employees will agree to, right? And everybody likes to make a little extra money, so most people want to do that. But at some, after a few weeks, after a couple of months, those extra 8 hours a week or 10 hours a week or 12 hours a week or whatever it is start to add up and start to wear and tear on you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad, again, that Victoria is taking this break so she doesn't burn out. She's young. She needs to have a little bit of a life. I know you sacrifice that personal life stuff for your business, but you can't sacrifice it all. So I'm glad she's doing that. Apparently, there's a new fry restaurant coming to town over in, Burke Mill Village or whatever they're calling it, that shopping center where Duck Donuts, Viva Chicken, and Taco Mama are. I don't know anything about it, but I know you did an article about a fry concept that Sam Ballas and some partners were getting in 2019.
Yeah.
So that's what this is?
So, Sam Ballas is, who is
East Coast Wings.
Runs East Coast Wings, his parent company, bought this company called Get Fried, kind of northeastern small chain, and they bought it in 2019, and looking to basically do the concept, but they had some thoughts about tweaking the concept, changing a little bit. It would still be basically what I call loaded fries.
Yeah.
What you might think of nachos with a French fry base, right?
Yeah.
And so they've been working on that since 2019. I kind of thought maybe something would have come of it before now, but as we know, there've been a lot of interruptions in the restaurant business these last 18 months. So, but there is talk that now they're going to go up down South Stratford, where Academy Sports is, which is also has a couple franchises are in there: Duck Donuts, Viva Chicken, Taco Mama, and
Guitar Center, 66,
and Clean Juice is the fourth.
Clean
So
Juice,
there are already four food concepts right there.
Yeah.
And so for folks who don't know where that is, it's on South Stratford. It is about a quarter mile south of the intersection with Haynes Mall Boulevard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so I hear that they finally are their first location, and they've also changed the name to My Fry. I think it's MYFRII is the way they're spelling it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't have any more inside scoop on the current.
So it could be
plans,
My
but-
Fries, since there's two eyes, right?
There you go. There you go. But yeah, so a lot of loaded fries, and this concept has become pretty popular. As I wrote about earlier this year. Some folks opened up on Liberty Street.
Dirty Fries.
Dirty Fries. It's a takeout spot, but devoted to. That's pretty much. They have one or two other things there, but it's pretty much all loaded fries, or dump. Some people call them dump fries. There are a lot of different terms for that, and I just saw an Instagram post from Small Batch that they're doing I think it might be just a special this week, but they got some kind of loaded fries. I think with pulled pork and a whole lot of other stuff. Piled up on that. So it's a popular concept these days.
And Small Batch has been doing the sunrise fries and things like that, where it's basically a sunny side up egg on top of this with gravy and cheese and stuff.
And we should say, the idea ain't exactly new.
No.
I mean, let's just say chili cheese fries.
Yeah.
I mean, how long have they been around?
And poutine.
Yeah, there you go.
So what my hope for what Sam's doing with My Fry or My Fries, whichever it is, certainly hoping they're using fresh cut potatoes and not from a bag like other places in town are doing, especially Walmart brand. Because I've seen it.
Yeah.
I know.
It'll be interesting to see. However, the frozen potato, might in cooking, especially when you're going to pile stuff on it. So the whole trick about dirty fries, as with nachos, is trying to get that crisp tortilla or the crisp French fry, despite putting
A bunch of wet stuff on top of it.
Wet, and if you were just putting cheese on it, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? But if you're putting pulled pork and sauces and all kinds of other, fresh vegetables and stuff like that, you're introducing moisture. So the whole challenge is not to come up with a bunch of soggy fries. And, from a cooking point of view, I could see that the frozen potato might offer some advantages, because you might be able to get it actually, just cook it a little bit more and get it a little crispier.
Because there are a lot of them, too, are battered.
And the other thing is that some chefs have told me that the crinkle cut fry, which I guess you could do by yourself, but is more of a challenge. You can't just use a regular knife or whatever. But the crinkle cut fry tends to get a little crispier and hold the crispness a little bit better. So it's a lot of chefs prefer that if they're going to put anything on top of those fries. They prefer to use crinkle cuts, and so that might be another reason why some of these places say, hey, the frozen fry is actually going to give me a better end result.
Right.
So
I get that.
We'll see. It will be interesting to see if somebody does go the fresh hand cut route and can really pull it off. I'd like to see that.
Yeah. I know the original East Coast Wings did because, as I've stated before, I almost bought that. So I was in there a lot. But my problem is knowing that they're paying probably $2 for a bag of Walmart French fries and charging gourmet prices.
Right. Well, here's the thing. But the devil's in the details. What is on top of the fries? Because almost anything they put on top of the fries is, even if whether they were making them themselves or buying them, almost anything they put on top of them would be a more expensive product cost.
Right.
So if it's just the cheapest American cheese they can buy, I don't want to pay $12 for that.
Right. And I think the knock on Dirty Fries has been that they were using just store-bought sauces on top of frozen Walmart brand potatoes and charging $16 for that in only this much of it. So listeners couldn't see that this much is probably
but you're indicating a smallish portion. So
and I know you got to pay rent. I know all this. You got to pay employees. You got to pay equipment costs.
So
but
I don't have any insight. I mean, I do know they're using. I mean, they were pretty upfront with me when I interviewed them that they were using frozen fries.
Yeah.
I don't know what brand they are using. But again,
someone told me they walked in there and they're in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And they walked and they peeked around and it was one of the Walmart brand that they were putting in there, and that was like the first week or so.
Yeah.
So they could have been just getting their legs. It could have been a whole lot of things.
It could have been a substitute product too, because
they sold out a lot of stuff.
Well, there's all those supply issues.
Absolutely.
They may not have been able to get the preferred anyway. But whatever the reason, I should point out, just to be fair to them, some of their toppings are like crab and shrimp.
Yeah.
Do you know how much crab costs a pound these days?
Crazy, yeah. So, I'm not knocking any of this. I want it known that. I'm just saying that the knock that everybody else is saying, and I'm I'm the voice of the restaurants, but I'm also an advocate for the consumer. That using cheap Walmart fries with store-bought sauces and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, again, most of that came from when they first opened, and people are still harping on it. So I'm not harping. I'm just relaying what I've heard.
Yeah, and I haven't. Yeah, and we'd like to hear their story their side of the story too.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, but there may be, if that's, if they are using, any place that's using less than quality ingredients, but paying, but charging you as if it's, everything is made from scratch, then that's a disappointment, obviously.
Yeah. So don't hear me, any of the listeners, hear me saying, do not go to Dirty Fries. I am not saying that. Absolutely go to Dirty Fries. Just know that in the past, this has happened. But, it could have been, like Michael said, it could have been a replacement product. It could have been makeshift. They could have run out because they were slammed the first couple of days. They could have just run out and go down to Walmart and grab some fries. And I'm okay with that. I just hope that if they're charging premium prices, they are using at least premium product.
There you go. Absolutely.
The Michael Restaurant Group, that's Mama Zoe's, Waldo's, Chin Chin, and Yamas, are posting that there is a reward for details and or the returning of a trailer with a generator on it that was stolen somewhere off of Renolda Road. Now, I don't know if this is their trailer, but all four of their Facebook pages are pushing this, so it could be.
Yeah.
But nothing bothers me more than a thief.
Yeah, that's just sad, and as you know, there's been a lot of crime in Winston-Salem in the last year, and it's just kind of saddening to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know whether it's whether it's related to the pandemic or just what, but we're not. I know we're not alone. That there's a lot of shootings, a lot of violent crime, and I assume probably burglaries and thefts as well too seem to be going up everywhere, and just wish people would be nice, respect each other.
Yeah, as I call it, the Bill and Ted philosophy: be excellent to each other. That's what we all need to do. On to happier things, City Beverage is having its tent sale this Saturday from 9 to 6. There will be live music, prizes, food, and beer and wine tastings, and freshly available for this event, 75th anniversary T-shirts, which include a picture of a young man holding a beer bottle, and it's a cartooned picture, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's Sonny.
Spencer's dad.
Yeah, Spencer's dad.
Yeah, probably is. Oh, that's a reason to go right there.
Yeah, and Spencer's, I think it was his grandfather that actually started City Beverage, and then Sonny took it over, and then Spencer took it.
I think you're right, yeah.
And it's right across the street from where they were, and you can see the Pepsi logo still on the wall, and that's where City Beverage started.
I think Shore Farms is also going to be there selling some of its fresh produce.
Okay, with Nathan?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a fun event.
And Nathan grows fantastic stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
Cibo or Chibo, however you say that, Trattoria has updated its menu. You can find that online. So, Michael, I have a question. I've looked into this and just drove by. I've not had time to stop. Do you know if Yaman is still open, or are they permanently gone?
I think they're permanently gone.
Okay.
Yeah, because I haven't seen, I haven't seen any activity there in a while, and haven't had any contact from them. So I can't swear to it, but I think they are.
I think they've been gone for a while. There's a sign on the door, and again, I haven't stopped. I should, but usually when I think about it, I'm passing through to do something else, and I'm like, crap, I don't have time to look. But and their Facebook page hasn't been updated in a while, but it was never updated correctly.
Right.
It's a small mom and pop restaurant. Then a lot of those didn't have time to update social media, didn't understand the social media. We talked about this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So understandably, but yeah, I've eaten there one time, and it was good, but it was like a weird school night, and there was like two people, my wife and I and another couple in there, and they playing music really loud, and they had a kid that was doing its homework in the thing,
right?
And they were sitting doing that with them, and I'm like, I need a refill of water. I had to get up and ask for that twice, and it was just a weird experience. The food was good. I won't say it was fantastic, but it wasn't bad, but it was just an odd experience.
Yeah, and there were a couple times, I mean, almost every time I was in there were not many other people in there. And I don't know whether they were doing just a lot of takeout business at different times of the day or what, but you have to wonder if you go in there several times, especially like 7 o'clock at night or something, and there's only a couple tables.
Yeah, so. There was, like I said, the one time we went, it was about 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. My wife and I and another couple, and that was it. Matty Cakes Bakery in Advance announced that they are opening a Matty Cakes coffee truck. They don't know exactly when that will start, but it will be soon. Just watch their Facebook page for that. I went to Alma Mexicana's staff training night last week. It was a chance to let their new hires come in and learn the ropes. Now, first I want to say that I'm very glad that they found new hires. Because as you know, we know every week that's been a nightmare for everybody. Anyway, I had the El Jaguar, but I don't know if there's some fancy way of saying that, which is dark rum, pineapple and lime juices, orange bitters, simple syrup, and soda. It was pretty good. I had maybe 3 sips out of it. It was a lot of foam and not a lot of drink, but that wasn't the reason I was there. One of my favorite things at the Porch, the sister restaurant of Alma, is the Three Amigos. I just love that.
Right. The sauces, 3 sauces, guacamole, queso, and
salsa.
And salsa. Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. and I'm sure that they do one batch for both places and scatter it, but I thought that the guacamole and the salsa from Alma tasted better than the Porch usually does. And I love the Porch's stuff, but I found that the queso wasn't nearly as good as it usually is at the Porch.
Well, I don't know. So the one question is, are they trying to do the same recipe or not? That's one thing. And two, is it just being executed a little bit differently because, you get different chefs,
Yeah, I mean, it could be that since they were doing it for, which you would think, knowing Claire, I would think that it would be the same size batch for all of it, but knowing that they were doing this thing with Alma and opening Alma back up, they may have had to increase the output for these things if they do it all in one spot. If they don't do it in one spot, it could be that the recipe just varies from person to person.
That's a good question, whether they would make it in batches like you would at a commissary. But I don't know. That's a good question. My guess is they don't, that they make it individually at each restaurant. But I don't know.
Yeah. Now, the one thing about the chips at Alma were kind of stale, but
This was also a test run.
That's why I'm saying. But again, I wasn't there for that. I was there to help Claire with some staff stuff.
Right.
The people that waited on me, I sat at the bar. She asked if I wanted to sit at the bar since I was by myself, and I said sure. And Laura, I think is the name of the girl that's
bartending.
The bartending that it's also down at the Porch, and she told me, she goes, "You have a voice for radio." When we went to the week before Barnola opened, which we'll talk about in a second, because I asked one of the servers that was waiting on us what Barnola was, and they didn't have a clue. So I don't have a clue. But Laura says, you have a voice for radio. Whenever I gave her my phone number, because I like to speak where people can understand me. And she said, when I sat down, she goes, "Yes, I'm the one that told you had that voice." But she did really, really good. And the trainees, I guess they would be called, were very attentive, asked questions to her about, how these things work. So it was really good. The main thing that I had was the Las Campechano tacos, Cappuccino, whatever.
I think Cappuccino's right.
Yeah. You can also get that in a rice bowl or as a salad too, but it was steak, chorizo, veggies, avocado, queso fresco, and cilantro. And I really liked this because I got them in the tacos, and the thing that I always complain about is if they're not full enough or if they're overfilled. I mean, you can look at them and see, okay, we got way too much stuff on there.
It's going to fall out when you try to eat it.
Yeah. Or this is just a tortilla with a little bit of stuff inside. So this was actually a very good mix of all the ingredients with a good portion.
They got the quantity right.
They got the quantity of it right. So whenever I bit into it, I've lost one piece of all three tacos. And I just picked that up and ate it. But just enough to make it just right, and all the flavors there, perfect mix. It was fantastic. So I enjoyed it, and I gave, because Claire was talking with an employee, I didn't want to bother her. On my way out, I just gave her the 2 thumbs up and walked on. So speaking of Barnola, what do you know of Barnola?
So 2 young folks. Gray Goins and his new bride, Kate Ronco, are the owners, young couple. Gray grew up in this area, and he's worked at King's Crab Shack. He's worked for a small batch. He's worked in the restaurant business. Got a hospitality management degree from ECU, I believe, but his work done pretty much everything in the restaurant business forever. And they were actually eating at the Porch one day and saw the For Lease sign over there at the Roller Mill building, which is across the breezeway or patio area.
The alley, I call it.
Yeah. Everyone has a different name for it.
Yeah.
and so they said, "Wow, that would make a cool space." So it literally was, an old roller mill where they made
Flour.
made flour way back when, and the building's got a lot of character. They've added even more character. I think the real striking thing when you go in is they had a mural. I believe it's 20 by 8 up on one wall with their logo and kind of New Orleans scene. Because NOLA obviously stands for New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yes.
Right. So it's a New Orleans themed bar. That's Kate's parents are from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi in that area. So she spent a lot of time in New Orleans. They both love New Orleans, and they thought it'd be fun to do a themed bar. They pointed out, well, there's not really a lot of themed bars in Winston-Salem.
Right.
And so that's
what theme bars there are is generally some kind of take on something, and it's sometimes it seems more tongue in cheek than it should be,
right?
And it's hard to take that serious.
Yeah, and it can be successful and it cannot, and you have to go judge for yourself. But along with the New Orleans theme, they want to do live music, especially like jazz, soul, funk kind of stuff that you might see in a typical New Orleans bar,
right?
They're doing some of those drinks that New Orleans is known for. You can get a Hurricane there.
Yeah.
You can get a Sazerac, and you can get a couple others. There's this drink that they're doing. They're calling Swamp Water, and it's a take on a New Orleans drink at a place called, I think, Tropical Isle in New Orleans, called the Hand Grenade. And one of the fun things about this is they put a little in New Orleans. They put a little plastic hand grenade in the drink, and then there's kind of like a net depository basket or something where you kind of throw your hand grenade into the basket after you're done drinking the drink, and it's kind of a fun thing. So their twist on this is called a Swamp Water, and unfortunately, the contents of the drink are escaping me at the moment. But they put a little plastic gator in, so they kind of have the same thing, and they have a net there near the front door, so which is kind of high up actually. So you're going to have to pay attention if you want to make sure it goes in the net. But but it's just kind of a fun little thing to do. So there it is, and. So they just opened this bar, and when I went to interview them, and actually even on opening day, they were fiancés.
Yeah.
But I believe they had told me that October 24th, just yesterday, Sunday, was when they're getting married. So now I assume everything went off with. They got hitched without a hitch.
Yeah, I would hope so.
And so now they're husband and wife. So congratulations to Gray and Kate.
Yes, congratulations indeed. So I told you that we went to Finnegan's. We'll talk to that on the way. So Saturday, Stephanie and I, after breakfast at Cafe Arthur's and a trip to Underdog Records, because that's what we do every Saturday, we took an international journey. So, Michael, you had done this article about the Eurodeli Mart in Greensboro, and with that post on Facebook, Councilman Jeff McIntosh mentioned the Scottish Gourmet USA, and you had written an article on that as well. Well, it's no secret my Gaelic heritage and how fond I am of the Scottish part of that.
I have seen the pictures of you in kilt.
Yes, that is still my fancy dress. Instead of putting on dress pants and all that stuff, if I'm dressing up, it's with a kilt. So I was ecstatic whenever I realized that this was here. I didn't know it was there. Honestly, truth be known, outside of stuff on Facebook up until the last 8 to 9 months, I didn't read things in the paper because I wasn't a subscriber. Now I'm a digital subscriber, so now I read these things. So we went to Greensboro to the Scottish Gourmet USA. We lucked up because they had announced just, I think that day, that they weren't going to be open on Saturdays until mid-November. But for whatever reason, they were open this past Saturday. So we walked in and we were looking around at stuff. It's a very small storefront.
Yeah.
And Andrew didn't even know that we were there. The dog greeted us, and we were just looking around, and I think I said something loudly, and he goes, "I heard, oh," and he like rolled over and in his office chair and apologized, and I'm, no worries, and he just showed us where everything was, handed us the catalog. We bought haggis.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and black pudding, and some back bacon. We also got clementine and malt whiskey marmalade. I bought some Lefroy handmade fudge, Walker's shortbread Scotty dogs, and Stephanie got a glass thistle ornament, which is thistle is the national.
They have a lot of ornament and this kind of stuff there.
Yeah, so thistle is the
whiskey glasses and all kinds of different.
Yes.
So it's not just food. Yeah,
right.
Primarily food, but
Yeah.
So the one thing I should add is for folks who are saying, "Oh gosh, they're not open on Saturdays," and you also mentioned the small storefront. I should tell folks that the company is mainly online.
Online, yes.
It's a mail order. It's a mail order company. So if you're interested in this company, you can't make it to Greensboro, or Saturday's the only day you can go, or whatever, you can look on Scottish Gourmet USA.com, and you can order right from there.
Right. And they did say that they hired 2 new people. So starting November, I think 15th or somewhere in the middle of November, they will be open on Saturdays as well, because there's a modest but growing Scottish and Gaelic population here, and people want their home stuff for Christmas. So this is a place that some people just want to go see more than just looking at a catalog. So.
And even if you're not Scottish,
Oh yeah,
good shortbread is good shortbread.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say the thistle is the national symbol of Scotland, so that's why. So there's a Lochinbrow, I think it's called. It's the lion, the thistle, and the rose.
Okay.
That is the national symbol for the UK, which is those 3 things put together.
I'm thinking about the Old Rose and Thistle restaurant now.
Yeah. I never got to go there, but I knew about it.
Yeah.
Stephanie and her friends went.
Yeah.
But I never got to go.
I used to play open mics there for years.
Nice.
With Steve Wisniewski, who you may know.
Yeah.
He ran open mics down there for quite a while. But yeah, people used to love to go down there for their pizza and their eggplant parm and their
right under the
sandwiches.
Hawthorne Curve, right?
Yep. And then they moved for a while out in that Renolda Manor, and they were back in that corner where the Asian restaurant has been for a couple of years.
Okay.
They were back in that corner. And that lasted, I don't know, not too long, but a couple of years.
Yeah. So we bought all that stuff, and Ann and Andrew were awesome. They're very much what you'd expect from a Scotchman. Then from there, we went to the Euro Deli Mart and were blown away by Gosha and her vibrance and her hospitality. She had us try just about everything in the deli case, all the meats, all the cheese, and the cakes. Boy. So she even asked, "Are you brave enough for this?" It was the head cheese. I'm like, yes, bring it on. And it was a little gamey, but mostly just chewy, but it had a decent flavor. You can taste all the spices and stuff. Yeah. And I looked it up because I was worried I was eating brains and stuff like that, but usually head cheese has nothing to do with brains, ears, or eyes. It's just the other stuff that's in the head. And tongue is used, and a lot of gelatin really to keep it all together.
And the cool, part of the cool thing about that shop is there is just so much in there. It's the size of a small convenience store. It's not a big place, right. But it is packed from floor to ceiling with food. And despite the name deli, it's meat and cheese is kind of a small portion of what they do. They have so much stuff in there. Pierogies, fresh European bread. All kinds of. There's like pâtés.
I came a skosh from buying a tin of the beef pâté, and I just didn't. I don't know why. I think because we were just overwhelmed by everything going on there. Yeah. It was a senses blast.
Right.
We did buy, though. We bought me get where I'm at on here. So when we tried all this stuff, that she said it was no junk Polish sausage. So it was just Polish sausage that didn't have all the preservatives and
Right.
stuff. And we thought that tasted best, so we got that. And then these Cabanos style sausages, which remind me of like fresher Slim Jims.
Yes, like kind of like air dried, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, so
Yeah.
so good. But we also bought authentic German mustard because last night we had bratwurst for dinner. The campanata eggplant salad in a thing. When she had some gingerbread, I call them knots, but it's like gingerbread Melanie or something, and coffee.
Yep.
Because
You can get they had coffee from Greece and Turkey, I think.
Yeah.
I remember seeing in the store. The cool thing about it is every time you turn around there, you'll see something you may haven't noticed before. And it's also, Gosia Kobus, the owner, is a native of Poland.
Yeah.
But she's got stuff from all over Eastern Europe. So, there's things like I just mentioned Turkey, Greece, but there's, like
Russian
cola
things.
from Russia and cabbage and beet salad from Lithuania and chocolate from Austria and Germany and there are noodles from Hungary. There's at least a dozen, probably more like 20 or so different countries represented in Germany you mentioned.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different stuff. If you like any if you like the food of any of those Ukraine, there's one guy I met in there lives in Clemens. He's an American, and I started talking to him and said, "When you come?" And he said, "Well, I was in the Peace Corps when I was young, and I worked, and they sent me to the Ukraine, and I learned to like all these foods, so I come here and get this, that, and the other, and." So the store is just packed with lots of fun stuff,
Yeah.
and she's got a lot of loose candy.
Yes.
which is kind of fun. You can just buy it by the piece, and I think she'll charge you by the pound for it.
Yeah.
But there's little, all kinds of little things like vodka-filled chocolates and caramels and all kinds of stuff from all over.
Yeah. Yeah. So all the like smelt and the anchovies and all that stuff, and herring, and it's just cool that all you can just because you see some of this stuff in the grocery store, but they're getting one or two brands. This is authentic from this place. I mean, most of the information on the tins you can't even read because they're in a foreign language.
Right. So I would say the majority of it is imported things, but then she has some fresh things or fresh or frozen things too, like some of the breads, and also she has cakes and pastries that she gets from New York that are baked like in a Lithuanian bakery or in a Russian bakery or a Polish bakery or what have you. But just lots of good stuff.
Yeah, we really enjoyed that. And the good news is for us, it's about 3 minutes from Stephanie's work. So if I need something, hey, will you stop by Gosha's and pick this up? And she's like, okay. Finally, we had heard the name Super G, but I never really knew what that was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so because I don't like going to Greensboro, and so I never went looking for it. But while we were at the Euro Deli, a couple from Louisville asked Gosha if the article in the paper had helped, and she's like, "Oh yes, And then we started talking because I told that you are my co-host on this podcast, and they said, he's the one who introduced us to Super G, and I'm like, what is that? 'Cause I just heard it, and I thought it was just a little convenience store.
That is an adventure in itself.
Oh my gosh. So I had never been there to revel in its scope and grandeur. It was overwhelming for a first time.
I was about to say that's the kind of thing you want to do, kind of devote the whole trip to, because you could want, especially your first time, you could wander around the aisles for an hour or two.
Well, and we found ourselves going slowly through the first part. We started on the last aisle, the side where the used appliance store is.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of the least exciting part of the store.
So we started there, and about halfway through, when we got to the fish market part, which smells like a real fish market.
Yeah.
With their live tilapia tank and their live blue crabs.
Yeah.
We realized we have frozen stuff in our car. We need to, and it was in a insulated bag, so we
But
knew it would be
still,
okay.
yeah.
So let's kick it in a little bit.
To me the probably the most interesting are the produce section, and because you'll find crazy produce, particularly Asian produce.
Yeah.
And then the fish area, and then I don't know if you checked out the noodle case.
Yes.
But they have more new, and they're like fresh refrigerated noodles. They're not dried noodles.
Right.
They had more noodles than I've ever seen in one place, probably.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. It's a combination of Asian and Latino stores with a little bit of other things in
but
there.
there's like but there's like Russian chocolates and stuff.
Yeah.
There's stuff from all over.
Just standing in there, I felt my blood pressure rising from all the MSG and preservatives. But it was a little bit of everything. We purchased a single-serving espresso making pot for Stephanie.
Oh, cool.
I bought an 8-inch bamboo steamer.
Yeah.
We bought some Turkish Delight, falafel mix. I know we can get this here, but I bought Crystal hot sauce and Cholula Chipotle just because the Crystal hot sauce was a large bottle for like $2. I'm like, and when Shannon from B&G Pies was on the Less Desirables 2 weeks ago, she said, I just found this stuff and I love it. Because we were talking about Texas Pete being a legacy brand from Winston, and she says, I still love that, but something I've learned that I like is this Crystal hot sauce. So I bought some of that, and the Cholula Chipotle I like to mix with ranch dressing and ketchup to make a dipping sauce for onion rings.
That sounds good. Yeah.
And then we bought some chestnuts because around here you're usually not going to find chestnuts until Christmas time.
Yep.
And they had it, and Stephanie wanted some, and I was like, it brought, because I had not seen a chestnut in probably 30
Did you see where they're from? A lot of them are imported from like France or Belgium.
Did not see. But I had not seen chestnuts in like over 35 years. Where I'm from in West Virginia, we actually had chestnut trees that in the woods, in the wild, we would be out and be hit by chestnuts falling from the trees. So I never thought there was anything special. I mean, I can get this shit anytime I wanted to, right? But no, down here, that's not the way it goes. I don't know that we would hurry back to Super G, but it was good to know where it was and all the things that surrounded it.
Yeah.
So this was a whole international market. The CPA was
there's a bunch of cool Asian and ethnic restaurants all there in that shopping center.
Yeah.
So you can pick up a kind of nice lunch while you're there. But yeah, it's a kind of, you need to go almost like 2 or 3 times to kind of get a handle on it because it's so big.
Yeah.
And get a feel for, well, here are the things that I want that because if you don't go with, you almost need a list and a plan,
right?
Or else you just kind of, like you said, overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think the next time we go, we would, because when we get back to the Country Spinner thing, we'll probably be able to find a lot of exotic ingredients at this place. And if we know that we're going looking for something, that's different than walking in the first time and not knowing what to do. I didn't even know how to get back to the groceries because they had everything blocked off except for the checkout lines. So I was like, well, how do you get back there? And the girl just started pointing her finger like, go on this way. Okay, so we did. But it was an experience. I mean, I truly felt like I was in another country. It reminded me of a store we went to in Costa Rica that was set up that exact same way, just not on that scale. So it just brought some of those memories back too. After all that, Stephanie and I, along with our friends Paul and Susan Jones, went to Finnegan's Wake on Saturday. I had to get one more trip in before they closed this Saturday for good. I wore my 90-day shirt, which, in case people don't know, was the second of its kind. I was the second person to do the 90-day club, at which I did 1,099 days in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, and I still don't have the record. Someone come behind me and beat me.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
So I won't get too far in the woods about that because I wrote an extensive blog and then I did a supplement podcast because I figured when you couldn't be here Monday and then that article came out, I figured that was part of why you couldn't be here.
Part of why, yeah.
So
My day got busy quick. But
Yeah.
So it's sad to hear the Finnegan's Wake is going to, they've been there 15 years. They just celebrated their 15th anniversary.
On the 6th.
On the 6th of this month. But it's been a good run, and hey, there's something to be said for quitting while you're ahead, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So Stephanie and I met at Finnegan's, so we wanted to get pictures in places that were a personal history for us. We got a picture with Opie.
Great.
Because he was pretty instrumental in that too. And I wanted to tell him, I wrote it in the blog post, and he read it. He commented on it. Several other employees there read it and commented on it, but I wanted to tell him what an asset to this community he was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not even for Finnegan's, but for everything that he does.
Yeah.
We took our pictures, had a pint, and headed over to Diamondback later for grill. But I will say to anybody listening, you have 4 days to get to Finnegan's before it's gone. I think they're closed today and tomorrow, but Wednesday through Saturday, and then that's it. So
Yeah.
it's, as I said on the supplement podcast that I put out last Tuesday about that, everything that I am is Finnegan's right now because I wouldn't be doing this job. The Less Desirables started at Finnegan's. All the subsequent podcasts came along because of that. I met my wife. I met probably 30 to 40% of my current network at Finnegan's during my 90-day club and as Trivia Tim when I was doing the trivia.
Ah, yes.
So you combine all the Finnegans and everything else. We had visited Scotland, Poland and surrounding areas, Asia countries, Central and South America countries, and Ireland. So it was a great international kind of day.
Wow. Fun.
So sorry, not sorry, but to announce that Daniel Butner is no longer the proprietario of Carrabba's here in Winston-Salem.
Pray tell.
Like Opie at Finnegan's, Daniel has decided to get out of the restaurant industry. As engaged as he has been since before the pandemic, he is exhausted, and he felt it was time to move on to something new. He's a wizard with creating things. He made this table, actually, and will always be fully vested in the city of Winston-Salem, and I look forward to having a beer or other beverage with my friend and seeing where his journey takes him.
Any word on the new proprietor?
No, they probably have not found one yet.
Okay.
He just needed to step back, and since before the pandemic, he was so involved with feeding first responders and all
he did a lot of volunteer giving back to the community.
I mean, he has his own day. It's Daniel Butner Day here, September something every year now. But I think he just I won't call it burnout. I just think it was just time for something else. Time to take a deep breath. He's 48, 49 years old, and it's time. Opie is 46, 47 years old.
Yep.
It's time. I commend them for, like you said, getting out while you're ahead.
Yeah. So I wish them all the best in whatever their next adventures are.
Yes, absolutely. Check out Explore Winston-Salem, an Instagram-based business to tell you all the cool and groovy things happening around here in our hometown. They're on Instagram as Explore Winston-Salem and on the web at explorewinston.nc.com. Christy's all over everything going on. She's doing a great job. What you got coming up this Wednesday in the paper?
Oh boy! Well, we got the opening of the reopening of Ted's Famous Chicken, which has moved from Pufftown to Louisville, now in the former Pig and Out Barbecue location on Shallowford Road. So I visited them, talked with them about that, and story about, I think it's already online on journalnow.com. You can read about Tiger Tea. That'll be in the print section on Wednesday also, which is a new boba tea place run by group of Chinese Americans, and it's over there in Sawdust Creek Crossing near Haynes Mall,
Yes.
that little shopping center where Marshalls is.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. Is the record store still there? Earshot?
Yeah, I think
Because I know Fred, the owner, had died, so I didn't know if somebody else took it over.
I think
or
so.
whatever.
But Tiger Tea is in the old space that Erie Rhythms,
Yeah.
the Caribbean restaurant,
Which
had.
would be to the left of Earshot.
Correct. Yes.
Anything else going on Wednesday?
Oh, that's the most. That's the bulk of it.
Right. So on to the burger tour. We're coming down now to, I believe Thanksgiving is a month from today. So that means a month in 4 days. The burger tour will officially end. There may be a couple stragglers that I get to. This week I had one official burger and 2 unofficial ones. The official one was a redo. Street Team Steven and I went to Cafe Arthur's to try, instead of just the cheeseburger that's on the cheeseburger side, we tried the burger in a basket combo. Something about these burgers is just different than those menu burgers. I don't even know what that is, but Steven and I agreed that though the middle bun, a la a Big Mac, was interesting, it could have been left off and was unnecessary. The 2 unofficial ones that I had were from Antojitos Las Delicias. I wanted that Mexican burger again. I wanted to try it with only a single patty and not a double, but it still was almost a double because she had just so much, and she's like, I just went ahead and put the extra on there. Okay. And a smash burger from Mr. Barbecue. Jimmy was playing around with it.
Oh yeah.
And
so not on the menu.
Not on the menu yet, so that's why it's unofficial.
How was it? Well,
it was, because it's
on the
unofficial. If it's unofficial, I can tell you.
Okay.
So I told Jimmy that the texture and everything was good, like a smash burger, had the char, and but it needed just a little more S&P.
okay.
It just a little,
Yeah.
or maybe even some onion powder or garlic powder, or something just barely mixed in there, just to give it a little. The accoutrements, the toppings and stuff, the fixings, if you will, were okay.
Okay.
But it was just that far
Now
from right.
they do have a burger on the menu.
Oh, they do, yes.
But it's not a smash burger.
No, it's just a regular diner burger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was. And truthfully, I had one today before I came here. I went there and asked Claudia, my favorite server there, or order taker, whatever you want to call him. Mm-hmm. I said, "Can we do that?" And she turned around and asked one of the guys who waved at me and smiled through his mask. Yes, we can do that, and they did. And it was good, but they forgot the cheese this time. But that's all right. Yeah. And the because the Antojitos Las Delicias burger is on the official list, I can't really talk about that.
Okay.
But I didn't see if when Jimmy made it, because he made it himself. I don't know if he just took, because it's already pre-pattied out. Yeah. I don't know if he balled it up and then pressed it down, or just put it there and pressed more out of it.
No, I've seen the term smash burger being applied loosely. So technically, it's supposed to be you take a ball.
A smaller ball.
Usually. Usually these are not
2-3
These are
ounce.
not half-pound burgers or anything. So usually you take a ball of the ground meat, and you literally are putting it on the grill and then smashing it.
Yep.
And whatever shape that is, that's what you get.
Yeah, because you get that little burger lace and stuff around the outside.
So you get kind of tend to get a little odd shape or unsymmetrical kind of odd shape, and
I always feel bad about burgers that are shaped like weird flowers. You know?
They do look a little strange sometimes. But sometimes they can use some sort of textural differences that can be fun. And but I've seen that term sometimes used to just like any thin patty, which for instance, somebody like Five Guys, that's not a smash burger,
right?
In my opinion, but anyway, the term does seem to be getting thrown about a little bit loosely these days. So,
was that commercial that's on TV right now? Shouldn't the definition of ambiguous have more than one meaning? So, excuse me. The food holidays are sponsored by Diamondback Grill. It's casual dining located in the heart of Buena Vista in Winston-Salem. It's fantastic. Family-owned farm to fork restaurant that sources most of its ingredients from local farmers. They have a new dinner menu, and I always talk about the fancy schmancy things that they do, but they do really simple things too. I had this weekend, and Paul had one too, the Sloppy Joe at Diamondback is amazing. It's an open-faced sandwich, coleslaw, and Sloppy Joe with a good amount of spice to it, a little bit of earthiness to it, and it's really good. And they're tomatoey, so it's really good.
We used to eat sloppy joes a lot when I was a kid, and I still love them. Amazingly, I cannot get my kids interested in them. I don't know why, but
my first wife, we had to eat manwiches, which is okay, but all the shit that's in that can,
No, my mom always used to make them, and I love it, and I will still make it at home. And kids be damned sometimes.
Yeah. So if you haven't had it at Diamondback, you need to try that one.
I was thinking as you were saying that, I was thinking I don't know that I've actually ever had a sloppy Joe in a restaurant. It's always been like a home cooked thing.
Yeah.
But
this is really good. It's huge too. I mean, it's open face and all the stuff's just there. The bread's just there as like an accoutrement. It's not It's not even anywhere near the main idea, but very good. And with fries, and they do that stuff so good. They have a new cocktail menu that go along with the seasonal thing. It changes. So try that. Diamondback is at 751 Avalon Road. Find them on the web at diamondbackgrill.com and on Facebook and Instagram. You can make reservations as well. 336-722-0006. And, of course, tell them that I sent you. So today is the 25th of October. It's National Pasta Day.
Oh, pasta.
Yeah. It's also National Greasy Food Day. So I have no problem with that at all.
I don't have a problem with my stomach, Mike, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's Sourest Day. So it's celebrating all things sour.
Yeah, I can go for some good dill pickles, maybe.
Yes. In 1905, on the 25th, J.J. McLaughlin, that's it, Limited is incorporated in Toronto to make a new beverage called Canada Dry Ginger Ale.
Ooh.
In 1923, staying with Toronto, Frederick Banting and John MacLeod of the University of Toronto win the Nobel Prize for Medicine for their discovery of hormone insulin. So that was helpful for people with, as Wilford Brimley would say, diabetes.
Yep.
In 1927, Crosby Field of Brooklyn received a patent for a cleaning pad and a scrubbing device, and it was assigned to Brillo Manufacturing Company.
Brillo pads.
In 1955, the first microwave oven for home use was introduced by the Tappan Stove Company. Mm-hmm. It cost about $1,200. In 1955, $1,200.
$65 now.
Yeah, yes. In 1955, $1,200 was probably closer to $20,000.
Oh my gosh.
In 2005, the European Court of Justice ruled that feta cheese is a traditional Greek product that deserves protection throughout the European Union's 25-nation bloc. Non-Greek European feta producers cannot call their cheese feta. And on the 26th, it's Mincemeat Pie Day.
Oh, seems a little early in the year.
It does, doesn't it? It's also National Pumpkin Day.
Okay, now that's good. You said the 26th of October.
26th, yeah.
Okay.
Tomorrow. It's National Mule Appreciation Day because in 1785, the first jack, which is a male donkey, arrived in the United States from Spain, where King Charles III of Spain sent George Washington a male donkey as a gift. Here you go, George. Here's an ass for you.
Probably not the first one he met.
No, probably not. In 1825, The 363-mile-long Erie Canal was officially opened. It connected the Great Lakes to the Hudson River at Albany. It provided a water route from the Great Lakes to New York City and the Atlantic Ocean and began the Great Canal building era of the United States, or as I call, that's a huge ditch.
Yes, indeed.
On the 27th, it's American Beer Day. Yay.
Hey.
The source is unknown, but possibly related to the passage of the Volstead Act on the 28th in 1919, implementing national prohibition. National Beer Day is April 7th. It's also on the 27th Etiquette Day because Emily Post was born on this day in 1872. In 1858, Roland H. Macy opened R.H. Macy Dry Goods on the corner of 6th Avenue and 14th Street in New York City. First day sales were a whopping $11.06. By the end of the first year, sales totaled almost $90,000. By 1877, just 19 years later, it had become a full-fledged department store occupying 11 adjacent buildings.
Wow. Yeah. And, $90,000 in the 19th century.
Yeah.
was
a lot.
No small chunk of change.
Right. In 1904, on the 27th, the first subway underground rail system in New York City began operating. The IRT, the Interborough Rapid Transit, was 21 miles long. In 1975, on the 27th, use of the Heimlich maneuver, or as Eddie Izzard would say, Heimlich maneuver, developed by Dr. Henry Heimlich to aid someone choking on food, was endorsed by the AMA. So in the Journal of the American Medical Association. On the 28th, it's National Chocolate Day. Just all kinds of chocolate, I guess. And National Wild Foods Day.
Okay.
I was very upset last week that the wild game dinner at Providence had been canceled.
Oh.
I was so looking forward to that. On the 28th in 1726, Gulliver's Travels was published by Jonathan Swift. In 1793, Eli Whitney applied for a patent for his cotton gin. In 1886, the Statue of Liberty, Liberty Enlightening the World, was officially unveiled and dedicated in New York Harbor. I didn't know it was that late. I thought it was earlier than that.
Huh.
But that means it's only, 135 years old? I thought it was
What was that date again?
1886.
Yep.
Yep. In 1914, on the 28th, George Eastman introduced color photography process. In 1919, as we mentioned earlier, the Volstead Act was passed, the great experiment that the government tried, the 18th Amendment, which prohibited the sale of alcoholic beverages, that went into effect on January 16th, 1920. What?
I was just going to say, they probably won't try that experiment again.
No. I think we all know how much we have to drink now to deal with a lot of stuff. And the 28th in 1927, Pan American Airways inaugurated the world's first scheduled international flight with a 90-mile flight from Key West to Havana, Cuba. On the 29th, it's Oatmeal Day and National Breadstick Day.
National Breadstick.
Yeah, and don't go to Olive Garden for that crap. Go to a real bakery for
I'm trying to remember the last time I saw breadsticks in a restaurant because I've been to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Find there were, I forget where it was. There was it Macaroni Grill, which still a chain. They used to have like the little bread sticks, like hard, small sticks that they would keep in a glass. They would just bring it and put it in the middle of your table.
When I was a kid, that was, almost standard for Italian or American restaurants. Yeah. But now,
nobody.
The last 15 or 20 years.
We can't do it like Olive Garden.
Yeah. Most people have switched to actually serving you
real bread.
Regular bread. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember the last time I've seen a breadstick.
Yeah, me either. In 1632 or 82, William Penn, the founder of Pennsylvania, landed in what is now Chester, Pennsylvania. On the 29th in 1764, the first issue of the Hartford Courant was published. It is the oldest continuously published newspaper in the United States. In 1929, on the 29th, it's Black Tuesday. Stock markets in New York and other American cities fell so dramatically, the day became known as Black Tuesday, and that was the beginning of the Great Depression. In 1945, the first U.S. commercially made ballpoint pens were sold for $12.50 at Gimbel's department store in New York City. In 2012, the 900-mile-wide Hurricane Superstorm Sandy, with 90-mile-per-hour winds, hit the east coast of the United States, dropped up to 12 inches of rain, record 32.5-foot wave in New York Harbor, 14-foot storm surge floods in New York subways, shuts down Wall Street for several days, causes blizzards in West Virginia and Maryland, floods communities in 23 states, cuts power to more than 8 million residents, destroys beaches up and down the eastern United States. It was the worst storm in U.S. history. And, you know, you're used to those being early 1900s and stuff. Dun, 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 dun. It's okay.
Random noise there.
But in 2012, all that happened. It was the worst storm in history. On the 30th, it's National Candy Corn Day. Where do you fall on the candy corn spectrum? Do you like it, do you not like it, or do you care?
I could live without not eating candy corn ever again.
I don't go looking for it, but I like it when I get it. I'm not one of those who hates it. I actually think it tastes good.
So what is the flavor of candy corn? Sugar.
Sugar, exactly.
Although nowadays they make all kinds of quote unquote flavored candy corn. So there's like, you can get pineapple, banana, and cherry, and whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, there. Yeah, even I don't know. Was it last year, the year before? I think it was Brock's came. I wrote about all the different flavors that Brock's or some other companies came out, and one of them was the Thanksgiving flavored candy corn package, where like it was a variety package where one supposedly tasted like cranberry sauce and one supposedly tasted like turkey, and one supposedly tasted like pumpkin pie and stuff. Some were more successful than others, but it was a weird idea.
Yeah, I think that the American public has just gotten bored. You know, all the things, those Lay's and Oreos flavors that they were doing too.
Yeah.
On the 30th in 1929, Prohibition ends in Nova Scotia, replaced by government control of liquor sales. In 1938, on the 30th, Martians attack Earth, or so many radio listeners thought when listening to Orson Welles' broadcast of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. Broadcast was done in a series of news alerts, which millions of listeners believed were real. In 1947, on the 30th, the General Agreement on the Tariffs and Trade, the GATT, was signed by 23 nations in Geneva. The arrangement eventually led to the establishment of the World Trade Organization. In 1964, buffalo wings were created by Teresa Bellissimo in the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, New York, for her son and some friends as a midnight snack. And now look where they are. In 1989, Smith Dairy in Orville, Ohio, made the world's biggest milkshake, I guess at the time, 1,575.2 gallons of milkshake. In 2019, the New York City Council voted to ban the sale of foie gras beginning in 2022. Violations will be punishable by a $2,000 fine. There are about 1,000, or at the time in 2019 when it's passed, there were about 1,000 New York City restaurants that had foie gras on their menu. The 31st, of course, is All Hallows Eve, or Halloween. It's National Caramel Apple Day. And not Nacho Day like Baker Mayfield would want you to believe in those commercials. In 1905, Joseph H. Campbell Company registered the Campbell's trademark for baked beans, first used in 1898. In 1920, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes handed down the decision of the Supreme Court, which upheld the trademark violations for the Coca-Cola Company against the Coke with a K Company of America. And that's your food, holidays, and history for this week. Special thanks to James Ehler at foodreference.com for making us chuckle, roll our eyes, contemplate the many flavors of candy corn, and damn, that's a huge milkshake. The Man Away to Town podcast is part of the Less Desirables Podcast Network. Along with this podcast, you can listen to the Less Desirables, The Beer Dads, Fan Interference, Beeswax Final Daily, Wheeler's Dog, and Asylum Tales from the Devereaux Diaries podcast. You can find all these podcasts and list episodes on your network website, tldpodnetwork.com. You'll find you'll find out all you need to know right there. This is a reminder to the listeners, and it's good practice, not just now, but for always. Wash your damn hands. Wash with warm water and soap. Wash for about 20 seconds. And if you're wondering how long 20 seconds is,
Tell us, Tim.
listen to this.
Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just get yourself free. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, leave, and get yourself free. Ooh, slip out the back, Jack.
Right?
Make a new plan, Stan.
Yep.
You don't need to be coy, Roy.
Nope.
You just listen to me. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, leave, and get yourself free.
So, Still Crazy After All These Years, the album which that was on, came out 46 years ago today.
And I remember, I'm old enough to remember when that song was all over the radio. That was such a that whole album was such a huge hit for Paul Simon.
Yeah, it was a good one. So that was on there, the title track, and there's a third single release. I don't remember the name of it right now, but yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. My wife, you know, when Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize for Literature, because of the reasons some storytelling or something, she's like, I think that right after him would come Paul Simon. She thinks it should be Paul Simon that gets the next one.
Well, you know, a lot of people were really surprised that a songwriter was given that, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see. There was a little bit of
Controversy,
backlash about giving it to a songwriter, and a pop songwriter,
especially that one.
So I'm curious whether they will be brave enough to try it again.
I don't think that they will.
By the way, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Did you mention that one?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah. So 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, Still Crazy After All These Years, which didn't do a whole lot, and then there was the third.
Oh gosh. Which one was it? Not My Little Town. I'm looking at this one. Some Folks' Lives Are Roll Easy, Have a Good Time, You're Kind, Silent Eyes, Night Game, I Do It For Your Love, and My Little Town. I think those are the only songs on it.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
The Gone at Last was the first single.
Okay.
And didn't do much of anything. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover went to number 1. Still Crazy After All These Years was like number 40.
Okay.
So, Gone at Last actually made it to number 23. My Little Town, which was Simon and Garfunkel, was number 9. Gone at Last was done with Phoebe Snow.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep an eye on the blog and this podcast to find out more about food news and happenings around town. If you have any food news, send an email to tim@themanowaitotown.com or
Michael Hastings at journalnow.com.
Is it Michael Hastings or M. Hastings?
It's M. Hastings WSJ on social media.
Okay.
But if you go to Journal Now, you can just type in my name.
Okay. Send him some stuff. You can contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter Instant Messengers. Like us on Facebook. On Twitter, we are Manhoot number 8 the Town. On Instagram, we are Man08 the Town. We invite you to call and leave a voicemail on the podcast or any podcast on this TLD network. You can call 336-422-6862. That's right, 336-422-NUMB. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it again on the podcast. 336-422-NUMB. Well, my name's Tim.
And I'm Michael.
And we're closing the recipe trunk. Until next time, thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. Bon appetit. Yamas. The views and opinions stated by me or any of my guests are solely those of ours and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of our hosting companies, distributors, enemies, friends, or relatives. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced or distributed without express written consent of the man who ate the town, that's me, and Such Limited Inc. However, if you ask nicely, we'll probably let you.